Easy to see why we're so concerned about this storm. It is a Category 5 storm, which is the strongest on the scale that measures hurricane strength, the Saffir-Simpson scale. You can look at the width of this storm, how broad it is. It is bigger than any of the islands that it's crossing, including Florida, when it gets up to that peninsula. So that is why we're concerned about where this path is going. This is the most current cone of possibility for Irma, for Hurricane Irma. Still a Category 5 storm. We'll get the next update coming up at around 5 o'clock from the National Hurricane Center. But as of 8 p.m. tonight, still expected to be a Category 5 storm. The storm is moving at just around 16 miles per hour to the west-northwest. Is expected to reach Grand Turk Island sometime this evening, also the southeast Bahamas sometime this evening, as still a Category 5 storm. It's expected by Saturday morning to skirt the northern edge of Hispaniola and then into Cuba before making a turn. And that turn is very important feature of this storm. We don't know exactly when it's going to turn and where exactly within this cone it could go. Now, the hurricane force winds extend out 65 miles from the center of this storm, and the tropical storm force winds extend out 185 miles out from the center. So no matter where this storm goes, the impacts are going to be felt on either side. Our spaghetti models, the models that kind of map out the path, show that all pretty much in agreement that it will make a turn somewhere along the coast of Florida. We're just not sure exactly how soon that will happen and how far inland it will go. It's still a possibility that it could make a turn and go into South Carolina and the Georgia coastline before it's all said and done. So for more on the impacts, we're going to send it over to Bob Turk. Bob?
I take a look at some of the additional graphics we have, trying to look at what we expect probably or will happen with the system. Here's the way it looks right out this afternoon, a little earlier, as it moves north of Puerto Rico. By the way, the other blob out there is Jose, another hurricane, but that's not going to impact the United States, maybe a little bit Bermuda. Meanwhile, as we head into early this weekend, we have it right off the coast of east coast of Florida, the northern Bahamas, just east of Miami. Hopefully, the strongest winds stay offshore. Then it moves up toward the South Carolina-Georgia border as still a maybe Category 1, Category 2 hurricane before it moves inland and weakens considerably. By the time it gets to the Mid-Atlantic region, we'll be looking at rain and probably some thunderstorm activity, but we do not expect to see any hurricane winds at this point across the Middle Atlantic region. Meanwhile, hurricane watches up for all of South Florida already, as you can see. In fact, all of Collier County, areas south of that region, in fact, Palm Beach County, Dade County, Miami County, Monroe County, that's the Keys area, up to about Lake Okeechobee. That's that big lake in the center of Florida there. You can see that clearly. Now, some of the paths that we've been watching over the last several days, pretty much in agreement, but it could still go to the west, could go through central Florida, although right now most of the models are pointing to an easterly trend in its movement. There's still a lot of question mark. We have to probably wait till late tomorrow night to see exactly where this thing is going to end up. Meanwhile, very dangerous hurricane continues in the Caribbean.